Hello, today we're going to learn how to do the primary source analysis that you will do every week. The most important first step is to make sure that you are logged into Digication. If you're coming through to the course site through Blackboard, you are automatically logged in, so that's fine. If you are doing it through Digication, make sure that you're logged in. If you're not logged in, you won't be able to comment, and you won't notice this little comment bubble down at the bottom right. So if you don't see that to begin with, make sure that you're logged in. Once you're logged in, you'll want to go to the menu at the top of the page, Primary Source Analysis. The very first time you do this, I highly recommend that you read How to Analyze Primary Sources, because you'll understand what we as historians do in trying to analyze a primary source. What is a primary source? Primary source is a first-hand account of an event. In other words, a person who lived through the event. In analyzing what they say, we're not just looking for facts, in other words, details on how an event occurred, but rather their opinion about that event. And as I've argued before, opinion is a much more important detail to concentrate on than just the facts. The facts are important. As we all know these days, facts are incredibly important. However, understanding why the author is saying what the author is saying is also very important. Understanding their point of view is very important. That way you can better analyze where they're coming from, but also understand the time that they are describing, because they often fit within one or another social or cultural parameter of the time. So I have here some suggestions on what you should be looking for. What can we learn from a primary source? There are 6 different elements here that I would recommend that you read through. Who is the author of the source? In other words, what is their motivation? Why did they take the trouble to write this document? Keep your mind on these questions as you read the primary sources. Okay, so the rest of this page also shows you the details on how to actually post, something that I am actually covering in this video. So let's go to an actual primary source. So week 2, this is the first of the primary sources we're reading this semester. You'll notice a legacy of the 19th century, some descriptions on what it is that you're required to do. The basic requirements are 2 comments of your own on the documents plus 2 responses to other students' posts. So there are 2 elements that you really need to concentrate on. If you have any questions, please email me. Scroll down and you will see that there is 1 document here, Cecil Rhodes' Confession of Faith, written in 1877. And as you scroll down, you'll see another one. This is written by President Theodore Roosevelt of the United States. It's otherwise known as the Roosevelt Corollary to the Monroe Doctrine. This is a speech. As you read through both documents, keep the questions that I outlined earlier in mind. What are the motivations of the author? What are they trying to convince you of, or convince the people of that time of? That's very important to understanding what they're trying to prove with their opinion here. As you're reading, please keep an eye out for sentences or paragraphs that really stand out to you. For example, I see here one that really strikes me. It is a short sentence, but it's very powerful. I contend that that we are the finest race in the world, and that the more of the world we inhabit, the better it is for the human race. This is Cecil Rhodes, a British man, talking in 1877 about, or arguing in favor, let's say, of the British people being the finest race in the world, and also arguing in favor of inhabiting as much of the world as possible. In other words, justifying the expansion of English imperialism across the world. And this, he argues, would be good for the human race. It's a really interesting and thick sentence, and I'm not going to analyze it right now. I just want to point out this is an interesting sentence. I'm going to make note of it, and then when I'm done reading all of the documents, I'll come back to that. I have to choose at least 2 sentences or paragraphs to comment on. So once you've got a note of that, you'll come back, and then you'll notice that at the very bottom right corner, we have, once again, these conversation bubbles that we talked about earlier. If I click on that, I can go back to the highlighted sentence that I have here. And as I highlight it, by the way, to highlight, you want to hold the left mouse button as you drag it across the text that you want to cover. So whatever you want to highlight, you highlight that. When you're ready to comment on it, let go of the left mouse button, and then you'll have a conversation window pop up. At this point, you make your comment. Okay? So I'm not going to expand on it right now because that's up to you. I would like you to write at least a paragraph or two describing how it is that you think that this sentence, or more than a sentence, is important to understanding the time of Cecil Rhodes and of racist, imperialist British policies. So you put that in the comment window. Notice that if you have an avatar, your picture will be here. Then the important thing is, you'll notice at the bottom here, there are options of who you want to see this. Now, the default is just administrator, but I am the administrator of the course, so if you just leave that checked marked, I'm the only one who will see this. We want everybody in the course to see this, all of your classmates, so please make sure that you click on Viewer and then click Send. Once you do that, your comment, you'll notice over here, has been posted. The sentence is glowing when I put my cursor over it, letting me know that this one kernel here with a number 1 on it, that means one comment, points to this sentence, and here's the comment. I can close this, and now you'll notice that there is a highlighted sentence. There's a 1, meaning there's one comment. If I put my cursor over it, the sentence glows, so I know what it's talking about. I can click on that. I can see what the other student has commented on, and then I myself can come here and say something, maybe agreeing or disagreeing, or somewhere in between with the other student's comment. Once again, I'm just putting a few words in here, but what you need to be thinking about is what response would you have. The requirement is at least a paragraph, but if you want to write more, obviously you can. Once you're done typing your comment, you click the Enter button, in other words, the paragraph button, and it'll be posted, as you can see here. If for some reason you make a mistake and you want to correct it, you just put your cursor over that comment. Notice that there's an Edit button or a Delete button. If you want to delete the whole thing, you can. If not, click the Edit button, and it takes you back in so that you can make changes. Right? Then once you're done with that, hit the Enter button again, and it posts it again. I can then click the X at the top here, and we now have 2 comments on this sentence. As more sentences are commented on, we now have, I go here, make sure that you always click Viewer. I send it. We now have another comment. You'll notice that the little kernels will start popping up on the sidelines. Okay, so that's how you comment on primary sources. Remember, we're analyzing points of view. Your opinion is as important as everybody else in the class, so please be respectful with each other. And once again, as a reminder, you are posting 2 initial comments, so your interpretation of 2 sentences or more. And you are responding to at least 2 other students' comments. If you respond to more, or if you post more initial comments, then that increases your grade. That's it. I hope that you enjoy the analysis of primary sources.